Hey everyone, today we're back with the normal scheduling of drops, so we have a single bag this time, and this is from PT's Coffee. They're a coffee roaster out of Topeka, Kansas, and we have their Dimtu Shakiso Organic, which is an Ethiopian natural coffee that has tasting notes of...
So when I was tasting it, it was super guava-y, very just like general tropical fruit, mango, like all the way through. Right at the end, I was getting a little bit of dark chocolate, like cacao nibs, sort of as almost an afterthought, and like a lingering peach-ish sweetness. So just that really like round, stone fruity, tropical fruitiness in it. Very pulpy in the middle too, like not super, super clean, but still finishes clean enough to not be like crazy overwhelming at all. It definitely lingers a little bit, but in a nice way.
And this is a coffee that we would say is more on the lighter end of medium, and we're going to be brewing it using Stagg XF. I know a lot of people have requested us to show you an XF recipe, and that's what I'm going to have Haley do. But as always, if you have any questions regarding drops or brewing or anything, please let us know. But without further ado, I'm going to have Haley show us how to brew this PT's Coffee using Stagg XF.
So today we're going to brew on XF. I know that we've been asked a lot lately to brew with XF, how, why, what changes from X to XF, and so definitely super excited to show you guys what's going on with it today. The first thing that I'm going to do is, as always, you want to pre-warm XF. My water is at 202 degrees, a little bit coming off of that 205 that we typically use, just because XF, once it heats up, it tends to hold its heat very, very well with its double-walled insulated carafe, the double-walled insulated hand-blown glass carafe on the bottom, and the double-walled insulated stainless steel XF dripper on the top. Holds its heat super well. You don't have to brew at super high temperatures. And also, since this is a natural Ethiopia and towards the lighter end of the medium roast spectrum, I want to pull out as much sweetness as I can, and that is going to happen by coming off of temperature just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to leave this in here to pre-warm and dose out my beans. Now I'm going to go with a 15-to-1 ratio, meaning that I'm going to do 45 grams in to 680 grams out. I find that upping the ratio a little bit, so upping the amount of coffee that you're using while coming back on grind setting to a little bit coarser than you would use for X is really, really beneficial for XF. The reason you want to go a little bit coarser with XF is because naturally, X and XF have the same diameter. The only difference between them is that XF is a little bit taller, meaning that your bed of grounds, the water is going to take more time going through your bed of grounds because it is taller, right? So you want to ease off of the grind setting just a little bit, especially because you're going to be using a little bit more coffee, so that you aren't inspiring over extraction. You're not inspiring your drip to take, 6, 7, 8 minutes. You're not inspiring the water to just really sit for too long in that bed of grounds. You want to come off of the grind setting a little, or come a little coarser to correct for that. I will say, don't go too much coarser. You don't want to overcorrect, because then you run the risk of even using too much coffee under extracting. So again, with coffee, sometimes small adjustments make a huge difference. It's not always, oh, I'm using double the amount of coffee as I normally would, so I'm going to go half as fine as I normally would. You really want to just make pretty small adjustments. So what I'm going to do, instead of grinding on a typical kind of like a 3 setting on Ode, or like 1 notch below 3, I'll probably go 2 notches above 3, so closer to 4, for XF as opposed to X. So pretty consistent roast level. Again, like lighter end of the medium roast spectrum, not quite a true medium, but getting close there. So I'm going to pour the coffee in with the help of the pour fins on the inside of every Ode catch cup, right here and right here. Helps to direct the coffee grounds even into the narrowest of drippers like X and XF. I'm going to shake the bed of grounds flat, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour up to 90, which is 2 times the amount of water as coffee as I'm using. Then I'm going to go in a 4-stage pour up to 290, 490, and then finally 680. I know that's last 10 grams is not exactly 200 grams of pour each time, but I find that for consistency's sake, it's much easier and there's much less of a margin of error than doing what would exactly be right, which is 196.6666 grams each time. Okay, so as I said, I tear out my scale, I start my timer, and I start my pour. Gonna go up to roughly 90 grams, roughly 2 times the amount of water as coffee that I'm using. So 92, I'm not really that mad. Right. And again, I teared out my scale before I started because we want to measure the water output, nothing else at this current moment. Since we already measured our coffee, everything, we don't need to measure our equipment, just the water output. Now I'm going to let this bloom until everything sort of looks dry and the gases stop being super expressive. I am going to probably let this go for a 45-second bloom and then break. And again, it's going to be a little bit of a bigger pour. I'm going to go all the way up to 290 grams. Making sure that we're getting all the way out to the outer edges with XF, because we have no real fear of channeling with this dripper or with X, but we do want to get all the way into these grooves so that we're not having any coffee hiding in the wings and not extracting evenly, right? Awesome. So flow rate looks pretty good right now. Again, looks super expressive. And we are about ready for our second pour up to 490. Here we go. And with XF, you can afford to let the water level sink a little bit lower in the slurry so that you're not letting pressure build up in the chamber with all of the steam and whatnot. In the vessel. All right. Let's put our kettle back on. I'm also brewing at 202 degrees again to pull out a little more sweetness. Also, the sheer volume of coffee, the fact that Stagg carafe is double-walled insulated glass and Stagg XF is double-walled insulated stainless steel, keeps its heat nicely. You don't really need to brew at a super, super high temperature. All right, are we back up to 202? Just about. It's going to be just in time. We're going to go ahead and hit that last pour right now up to 680, which is just about 24 ounces of coffee, so just about 2 12-ounce cups. Do it on 1 fill of Stagg EKG. We're at 681 roughly, and I'm pretty happy about that. Again, it's a 15-to-1 ratio. I tightened it up a little bit. I find that the coarsening up the grind setting, but just slightly bumping up the dry dose and pulling back temperature-wise in the slightest bit with XF really, really helps. And as always, you want to go ahead and check your bed of grounds to make sure they are nice and even after you finish dripping. You want to make sure that you don't have any mountains and valleys. The mountains will tell you where you didn't concentrate enough, and the valleys will tell you where you concentrated too much in your concentric circles, which is a human thing to do. I do it sometimes, but you want to make sure everything is flat and even in your bed of grounds. Sorry for my drip. All right. And then, if you want to pour yourself a cup for now and save another for later, Stagg XF comes with this revolutionary silicone lid. You can put it on, it holds its temperature pretty significantly. You can also put it on this side and pour out of the spout still while not losing any heat. It's pretty sweet. Let's drink some coffee. Gotta love that no drip spout. All right. Put my lid on to keep it warm. Okay, let's pull Brian in again and drink some coffee, talk about what it tastes like, and just enjoy ourselves.
Cheers.
Cheers, Brian.
Super aromatic coffee here.
Very guava on the nose to me. Like super, just nail on the head with that guava. Still get that mango too, but again, that like round sweetness that's indicative of tropical fruit. Again, it's just like guava right up front. a little bit of like that peach back end, a little bit of that mango back end, and right as it finishes, it just like tapers off with that cacao nib situation that I was talking about. And then it lingers a little bit in your mouth with that, like now that I'm actually like tasting it again, it lingers a little bit with that dark chocolatiness in it, but like also the peach is kind of present in the aftertaste, which is really interesting. So it's not like super clean, it's definitely like weighty in the middle, but it doesn't linger for a ton of time afterwards, right?
Yeah. For me, I'm getting a hit of mangoes at the beginning, and then towards the end, near the aftertaste, I'm getting this a little bit of the cacao nibs. I think when this cools down, though, a lot more of these tropical fruits and like mango, guava should come out.
Agreed.
So I'm gonna let that cool down a little, and then I'm gonna try it again.
Agreed. Like the round sweetness, there's like a complementary acidity to the round sweetness. Like it's there and it's noticeable, but it's not a super prominent feature. It's not a super prominent like foreground. It's not a main character for sure.
Yeah, but overall, just an incredibly enjoyable cup. Very mango guava-like, and I think you'll really enjoy this coffee if you're really looking for a more tropical fruit type of experience here. And yeah, super enjoyable.
I'm gonna
Haley's
drink more.
having more.
I was trying to be sneaky.
PT's Coffee's Dimtu Shakiso Organic. This is an Ethiopian natural coffee, and this was and just super enjoyable cups. And I want to thank Haley for showing us how to brew on Stagg XF today. And as always, if you have any questions regarding brewing, drops, or anything, please let us know in the comments below or text us back. But thank you again for spending the time to watch the video. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.